Welcome back, YouTube. Today, this drip guard, is coming off. So what I got here is my '89 Camaro iroc-z. If you've been following me, you already know that. Anyway, this drip guard is falling apart. This is the rubber version. I'm not 100% sure if this is the original or if it was aftermarket, but I'm going to put a link in the description where you can actually pick these up. There is two different kinds. The only place that I know of getting these that is the cheapest way is 1A Auto. Like I said, I'll put that link in the description. But they have the rubber kind and they have the plastic kind. The only downfall that I have heard of is the rubber kind is rubber, so it can dry rot and it can get snagged and ripped, which, I mean, it looks like that's happened maybe a few times on here. And also the plastic ones have pins that might not fit in your Camaro, but the good thing about that is you can get a razor, snip it off if it doesn't fit, and it fits just like it wasn't there. So I went with the better option and got the plastic one. So let's take a look. So one thing to note before you start all this and before you buy it is there's actually two different kinds of T-tops. There's the factory T-tops and a company that converted these cars to T-tops. To figure out which one's which, you go to the inside edge of your T-top, the part that goes in right here into the middle T-bar thing, I think that's what it's called, and you're going to measure it. Grab your measuring tape and go across the top, and if I can get it, anyway, it's going to be 30 1/4. That's factory, and that's exactly what these fit. If it measures 28, then you have the aftermarket T-top installation, and these weather strips won't work. So of course the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop the T-top up. I'm going to put it into an open area, put a towel down so it's a nice smooth surface, soft surface, so it's not going to get scratched up. So the first thing we're going to do, just to make things easier, this is optional, but we're going to take out these 3 Phillips heads and also this Torx that's holding the lever in place. Now that that's off, this will come straight out. Set that off to the side, and this is what you'll be looking at. And it looks like mine have, or at least the rubber piece has little protrusions out here that has the Phillips heads. So to actually get this drip guard off, this needs to come out because there's 4 screws underneath. So we're going to take out these 2, which will then release this whole piece. Now that those 2 screws are out, this rubber piece can come out. Now the only thing keeping it down should be some, some gasket sealer. You can make sure you have some of this so you can get in here and reseal it once you take it out, or have a new one ready like I do, since it's going to be taken out anyway. So if you do want to keep this, make sure you don't rip these. So as you're slowly prying these out, make sure that this one comes down and not ripped out. There's 2 grooves to take it out of here on the side. There's one groove up here and one groove inside here where this bottom piece is. Now that that piece has been taken out, you can see the screws that are holding this metal bracket in place, and underneath this metal bracket is your drip guard. Now depending on how new the drip guard is, I'm pretty sure this drip guard has a slot like this instead of a hole, so you actually be able to take it out rather than the holes that are in this drip guard. So you might be able to slide this out depending on, but if your new one has holes, then you're gonna have to do this method, just to let you guys know. So let's take these Phillip heads out, and this whole thing should come loose. Now that they're out, this whole piece is now free. So we can sit that down, and that's a piece just how it looks. Now we have this whole area up here. Now the part you want to clean for the 3M tape is going to be this whole surface, all the way from this corner all the way to this corner. So clean this up. I've got a putty knife, metal putty knife, to get rid of this. You can use whatever you please. Just get all this old crap off of there so that tape will stick a lot better. Now that it's been cleared off, you want to grab your new drip guard. And as you saw from mine, there was no place for these little pins to go, so I'm just going to get a razor and pop them off so it's flush with the rest of this. And deciphering which one's left and right, all you really need to do is just take a look at it. One end is flat and the other end is winged out. So obviously if you're looking at the car, the flat end is going to go towards the back and the pointed end is going to go towards the front. So if this was going on the passenger side, I've had it flat to pointed end just like that. So I'm going to line it up after I cut these off and screw it in. Now they've been cut off, this 3M tape, you're going to peel the red part off so it's double-sided, and it's going to go and stick right here in the corner, and then you're going to bend it up and stick it to the top so you have your new drip guard. Make sure you line it up so it's even before you do this. I just pressed it into place, and the whole lineup is not bad, but not perfect. So it's enough to get a screw in each one of them so you don't have to worry. But now that the top's been pressed up, because there is a bend to this, but this is not bent, so you gotta bend it up for it to stick. But now that it's in there, we can put that metal piece, where'd it go? Right there, metal piece, back onto here and screw it in. And two things before I screw it back in. If you took out the rubber piece that was in here, I'm not sure what it's called, it's like a ttop molding, but if you took that piece out, make sure underneath here, underneath these grooves, there's nothing inside of there. Because once you put the new one in or your old one back in, maybe a piece ripped off, if it's still under there, whatever is around it is not going to want to tuck under there. And same thing with the inside of here. And number two is once you get these on, don't tighten them all up at the same time, because you can move them up and down. They're not just straight holes. So I found out what works best for me is moving all the way down, just for the new rubber piece that I'm going to put in, so it has clearance up here instead of being smashed against it. But really depends on what your car's at, what your window's height and adjustment is at, so this might take a little bit of playing around with. So here is my new one. I just placed it on top, and if you guys are having trouble, there is no left and right for these new ones. If you do buy a new one, just make sure when it goes down, these are slanted upward and not downward. And also on the bottom, towards the inside of the car, under here, you're going to have the little holes. So line it up just like this, and to put it back in, the little grooves on the inside, like this groove here, is going to tuck up underneath. What I found to be helpful is using a putty knife, just to put it underneath here and to push it up into that groove. And to check to make sure they're in, down here on the bottom, you can see that it's obviously down in the groove, but all you have to do is just lift up, look inside, and you should be able to see the metal lip and not the rubber. So go all the way through that, and same thing with the top to make sure it's at the top lip. It's kind of hard to focus in on this, but there you go. Look down there, make sure the rubber part is tucked underneath this part. So I've got everything set up. There's the new one, not cut up or anything. I do have to say, they don't do a very good job of cutting these plastic ones. Looks like they just kind of put it under a dull blade. So now that I have it flipped back over, I can grab the top piece and reattach that along with the handle. Just a quick tip for you guys. If one side's matching and maybe the other side's got a gap, or you got a gap on both sides, something that I figured out when I was doing this is these things stretch pretty well. So if you need more room over here, just grab it at one end and just tug on it. And it'll close that gap without closing the gap on the other side. So you can grab it at both ends and stretch it out. Maybe squeeze it in if it's kind of overlapping on both ends. But yep, that's about it, guys. Have fun. And there's your final product.